So, long time no video, huh? So hi guys once again. It's been so long, and the reason behind that is I was not in the country. That's right, for school I was studying abroad, so I spent an entire semester in Ireland, one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. We missed making these so much because they encouraged me to read a lot more, and so when I was abroad I did not get much reading done except for assignments. Even some of those I didn't do. I'm gonna start this whole thing off with a book tag. This one is called the First Date book tag, where it's asking you questions about like first date scenarios. This is originally by Kate's Book Date. I will leave the original video below along with all of the questions. With that, let's just jump on into this shindig. Question 1, The Awkward First Date. A book where something felt off. It wasn't a bad book, but lacked that spark for you. Oddly enough, I'm going to choose ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Miss Sarah J. Maas, the Queen of Everything. Now, I'm obsessed with this series. It's absolutely wonderful, and I love all of Sarah J. Maas's books, but when I first read this, I was comparing it to Throne of Glass, which is Sarah J. Maas's other series. It didn't measure up, it wasn't as good. I liked certain characters in this book, but those ones never showed up, and then I hated other characters, and those ones were around the entire time, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And then we get to the second book, which is over there, and I'm not gonna grab it, and that's A Court of Mist and Fury, which I always say has the equation to the perfect book ever written. It's fabulous, it's wonderful. The third book, A Court of Wings and Ruin, is coming to my house today. It's being shipped, and I'm so excited. It should arrive within the hour, and I'm just And so I find it funny that this is what I'm choosing for the awkward first date. It felt so underwhelming to me compared to all of the other books, but when the series branches off after this first book, or even just like towards the end of this book, everything just becomes wonderful, and I love it. Question 2. The Cheap First Date. Book that turned out less than you expected. Now, for this one, I'm gonna go with The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Brackett. There was so much hype for it, and I got so excited for it that what I actually read paled in comparison to all of that hype. It was still beautiful, it was wonderful, don't get me wrong, I love it, but I did not love it as much as I expected. Oh, and if you have not read this, disease happens, kids get powers, sent to concentration camps because adults are scared. Question 3. Well-prepared first date. Better than expected, so the complete opposite. Oh, snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. For my well-prepared first date, I gotta go with Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Why? Because I read this when it first came out. I was like, I like the cover, it looks cool, it sounds interesting, and then lo and behold, it became one of the greatest series I have ever read. In this series, it's basically science fiction, futuristic cyborgs and technology meets old-time fairy tales. Cinder, it's about Cinderella, and she's a cyborg. Hot but dumb. So this is a pretty book, not so hot on the inside. So a good cover, but crap story. I can do that. Alright, so for this, I'm going to go with the entire Ruby Red trilogy. So it's Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue, and Emerald Green. They're all by Kirsten Gier. I probably am pronouncing that wrong. Like, look at these covers. They're freaking beautiful. And these are like the original covers. The newer, changed ones are just like this picture in the middle blown up for the entire cover. So it's the typical pretty girl in dress. Now, I love these covers, and the book's decent. It's all about time travel, and yeah, basically just time travel. Not much more to it than that. If you want to read them, they're fine, and they're really, really quick to read, but they just didn't interest me as much as I would like. Blind Date. Ooh, book you picked up not knowing anything about it. Ooh. Okay, now this book, this freaking book, I basically heard about it on BookTube, didn't know anything about the plot, and it was just people being like, this author is wonderful, you need to read it. And so picked up Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I'm obsessed with this book. It's probably my favorite book that I read in all of last year, and that includes freaking Akamath, Court of Mist and Fury over there. This topped that. The writing is wonderful. It's all about anti-heroes with weird superpowers, and like no one's a good person, but no one's a bad person either. All of the characters have different sides to them, and I freaking love it, and I just, my heart was racing the entire time in this book. Even when it wasn't like an action-y scene, even when it was just people talking, it was just so compelling that I was drawn in, and I was just like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm loving everything about it. The beginnings of a new obsession. It's always my favorite. All right, number 6, speed dating. Book you read super fast. Oh no, what do I choose? Now this is actually my most recent read, and it's pretty short anyway, but I read this in like one day in just a few hours because I just needed to know the story, so I just kept going. And that was A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. This is about 2 young little boys. One is a freshman who just is the sweetest little muffin you will ever read, and he has a really shitty life. And then you have the senior who is literally a sunshine ray beaming down on people because he is just that wonderful and nice and happy all the time. It draws you in and you just can't let it go. You can't put this book down without wanting to know what happens. Like, I brought this into public spaces. Bad choice. I teared up too many times, both out of pure pain and undeniable joy. Like, both of those things made me cry. It's just a great book, guys. Number 7, The Rebound. What's this one? A book you read words. A book you read too soon after a book hangover, and it kind of ruined the book for you. Now, this book I have not really completed, so I can't really say that it was ruined, but Scythe by Neil Shusterman. So shortly before I dived into this book, I had read books like Truthwitch and Empire of Storms, and I reread Akamath because, like I said, I'm obsessed. They just got me into that fairy tale headspace, and then this came along, and this is all about kind of more dystopian society where everyone can live forever, and then you have the Scythes, who come like basically Grim Reapers, and they kill you. So I have to get around to this one at another time, simply because I was not ready for this kind of book at this point in time in my life. Okay, number 8, Overly Enthusiastic Date. A book that felt like it was trying too hard. Overly enthusiastic, that doesn't sound like anyone you guys would know. For this, I gotta go with The Thinking Woman's Guide to Real Magic by Emily Croy Barker. Once again, I have not completed it, which is weird because this is one of those fantasy books that the world is somewhat like ACOTAR or Truthwitch, where it's like a fantasy world with magic. There was so much going on, and they would be like, oh, but then there's this side plot, and then, oh, look, there's this thing, and I'm just like, okay, let's just take a break, step back, breathe. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was reading this at an airport and there was already so much going on around me. My flight got delayed by a couple hours. You know, those things happen. But there was probably just so much chaos around me and in my own head that I could not handle the chaos that is this book. Number 9, The Perfect First Date. Book that did everything right for you. I got it! This is like the perfect book ever. There's beautiful character development. There's a realistic description of PTSD. There's like a beautiful slow burning romance that just slowly sneaks into your heart. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, and there's just awesome badassery happening throughout it, and I love it so much. I want ACOTAR right now. Just let me read it! Humiliating First Date. Oh Lord. Book you're embarrassed to admit you liked, or embarrassed to see reading in public for whatever reason. I am going to have to go with the Hush Hush series by Becca Fitzpatrick. Not because I'm embarrassed to like it, but because I know that it gets so much hate for some reason. I don't know why. Every person that I've convinced to read these books has adored them. Okay, I'm gonna set these 3 down. I'm just gonna show you the first one, alright? Hush Hush, the first book in the series. This is all about fallen angels and like mischievous kind of schemes happening beneath the surface, and the main character Nora He's kind of in the middle of all of this. Again, it's not that I'm embarrassed by the series or that I'm embarrassed to like it. It's just that I feel like people judge me when I say that I absolutely love it and that it's one of my favorite series, and that I am definitely in love with Patrick Cipriano, who's this handsome young man here. I empathize with Nora so much, and her best friend V is basically my best friend Wally. It's the weirdest thing. I don't understand. If I get a patch at some point in my life, I'm fine with that. Those were all 10 of the questions, so I hope you guys enjoyed this and coming with me on my first dates with books. Yes. I don't know what I'm doing with my arms, but I think it's fitting. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I will be making a whole bunch more because I really miss talking about books. Please leave a comment down below of any other weird bookish dating scenarios, or if you want any real first date scenarios. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you think I'm entertaining. Other than that, I will see you guys next time with a new video. Bye! I have all the questions on here, and I don't have anything stable enough to place this on, so I might just be holding this for an awkward while.